वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Matre Namaha. Namaste everyone. In today's session, we are going to review the Nama Krodhakarangkushojjvala. Ambal is Chatur Bahu Samvita. That means she has 4 hands, 2 hands in the front and 2 hands at the back. Of these, in the last session, we reviewed the first of those 4 hands as holding Pasham, Rahaswarupa Pashahatya. That was the Nama that we reviewed in the last session. We will now review the second hand holding Ankusham. In this Sloka, the Nama is Krodhakarangkushojjvala. Kroda, Akara, Ankusha, Ujjvala. The Ambal who's holding Ankusha in her hand. Pasham, here now Ankusham. In order to understand the pronunciation of this Nama, it will be helpful to know the components in it. Krodhakarangkushojjvala. There are 4 components in this Nama. Kroda, Akara, Ankusha, Ujjvala. Kroda means anger, as we all know. Akaram means knowledge. She who is in the form of knowledge herself. Akara Jnanam, the knowledge about what's causing the anger and removing it. Krodakara. Ankusha is the weapon that is held in Ambal's hand. The weapon that is used by a mahout to control the elephant. Ankusham. Ujjvala means the Ankusha shines brightly with Jwala in her hands. So, Ujjvala. Kroda Akara Ankusha Ujjvala. She who shines with Ankusham, that has knowledge of how to control the anger. Krodhakarangkushojjvala. So, let's review each component in this Nama to understand the Nama. First, let's take the component Ankusham. Ankusham is the ayudam or the weapon that is described in this Nama. Ankusham is a weapon that is used by a mahout to keep the elephant under control. Mahout is the person who takes care of the elephant, who knows how to keep the elephant under control. The person who rides the elephant and takes care of the elephant. He uses this ayudam called Ankusham, the weapon, right? It has, if you see the Ankusham, it has a sharp edge on one side. The device is used mainly to control a mad elephant. See, an elephant is a very strong and a big animal. If it gets mad and if it's running around destroying lives and properties, it is super hard to bring it under control. Even that mad elephant can be brought under control with this device called Ankusham. This is the background of the term Ankusham. Now, our mind is equated to this mad elephant exhibiting anger. That's how our mind is. That's what this Nama says. Our mind is equated to this mad elephant exhibiting anger. Hence, Ankusham is the weapon that is used to control the Krodam. So, why you see both the terms Krodam and Ankusham in the same Nama? It's because whenever mind runs fast like a mad elephant, then Ankusha is the weapon that is used to control this mad elephant. Now, Ambal holds this Ankusham in her right hand at the back. Ankusham is the Stula Rupam of the weapon. Stula Rupam means the form of a weapon that we can visibly see when we darshan Ambal in a Vigraha form. When we see Ambal's Vigraham, when we darshan Kanchi Kamakshi, we can see that Ambal is holding 4 different items in her hand, and one hand she holds Pasham and the other hand she holds the Ankusham. So Stula Rupam means one that we can visibly see with our Indriyams, with our eyes. The Vasanamaya form of Ankusham, the intended form of this Ankusham, is to control Krodam. So we had so far seen desires, which are Pasham or Ragam. When the desires do not get fulfilled, what happens? We get angry. We are standing in a line for a long time to get our food. Our desire is to get food. If they say, oh, we are sold out today, how would we feel? our desires will not get fulfilled and instantly we will get angry, right? So any desires that does not get fulfilled results in anger, results in krodam. So Ambal brings her Pasham and Ankusham. That's why she controls our desires and she controls our krodam. So, Rahaswarupa Pasatya, the desire that's held in one hand, Krodhakarangkushojjvala, the Krodam or the anger, how to subside that. The twins, they are called as twins. The desire and the angers are called twins. The twins gets cured when it is held as the divine weapons in Ambal's hands. Now, let's look at the other component here, Krodam. Krodam or anger. This is a very familiar concept to all of us. Anger, krodam. Anger pierces the person who gets angry. It does not pierce the other person we are angry at. If you recollect, they say if we are angry at somebody, it's like holding hot coal in our hand. What happens if we hold a very hot coal in our hand? It will only hurt our hand. That's how anger is. Anger pierces the person who gets angry, and it does not pierce the other person we are angry at. The other person might just walk away indifferently. Right? The pierce of the krodam is only felt by the person feeling angry. Hence, it is very important to bring the anger under control. The concept of subsiding anger has the form of Ambal's Ankusham. The in the Sloka is very special. It has two main concepts. The twins, like we reviewed, Pasham and Ankusham. We say Udyadbhanu Sahasrapa Chatur Bahu Samvita, one who has four hands. Rahaswarupa Pasatya, she has the Pasham, which is in one hand. Krodhakarangkushojjvala, she has the Ankusham in the other hand. So she has Pasham and Ankusham. Pasham and Ankusham. If we think about these two words, Pasham and Ankusham, it rings a bell to bring the elephant in our minds. The elephant is always tethered by a heavy chain to an anchor. The chain is because if you think of mind as an elephant, we have to tie it with the rope. It is usually tied with the rope of attachment. Just like the elephant is usually tethered by a heavy chain, mind is always tethered by the rope of attachment. The twins, Kama and Kroda, right? Pasham is the rope of attachment, Kama, desire. Ankusham is to control the Krodam or the anger. They're called as twins. That's why Ambal holds it in her hands. Pasham, Ankusham, Kamam, Krodam. If it is within us, it is harmful, but if it is with Ambal's hands, then Ambal will help us to control those. So the twins, Kama and Kroda, are elephant-like in their strength. So they have to be controlled with effort in the same way the elephant is controlled with Pasham and Ankusham. The man who rides the elephant uses the Ankusham to control it. We saw the mahout controlling the mad elephant. The elephant-like evils of desires and angers are both in the mind. It is both in the mind. Hence, it is the mind that needs to be controlled. In Shivananda Lahari, Acharya says that we have to control our mind to the feet of Lord Parameshwara. In Shivananda Lahari, Acharya says, Dhairyankushena nibrutam rapasadagrishya bhakti shringalaya purahara sharanalane hridayamadepam badana chidyantraihi. Acharya uses very beautiful terms here. He says, Epam. Epam means an elephant. Not just an elephant. Mind is a mother apam. It's like a mad elephant. That's what Acharya says here. Hridaya madepam. My mind is running around like a mad elephant with Kama and Kroda. What we need to do? Badana. Like bandhana. Like it is running everywhere. I want to tie my mind with what? With bhakti shringalaya. With the anklets of bhakti. Shringalaya means like continuous form of bhakti to Parameshwara's feet. Like it's not just one time. I want to keep my mind always situated in the feet of Parameshwara. Bhakti Shringalaya, with the anklets of Bhakti, always I want to keep remembering Parameshwara all the time. Nibrutam, in a way that it is firm, like, so I don't just tie it loosely sometime. It's firmly always situated. Whenever I have something that bothers me, I immediately tie my mind to the feet of Parameshwara instead of making it wander madly like a mad elephant. That's the concept conveyed here. See, whenever we are worried, immediately our mind goes into thinking hundreds of other things, and that actually brings us down. So, Acharya says, whenever our mind goes uncontrollably, for whatever reason, then immediately bandhana, when it goes like a mad elephant, madhepam, badhana, like badhana means like tie ourselves, tie our mind immediately to Lord Parameshwara's feet and keep tying it. Just don't think about Lord for just a second and then come back to thinking about the worries. Don't just do it like one time or sometime. Don't make it as a loose commitment. Make it as firm, nibritam. Firmly establish your mind in Parameshwara so that Parameshwara can help us to keep our mind under control, right? Now, imagine a mad elephant, a mother apam. A mad elephant is running uncontrollably. Imagine elephant is such a huge animal. Even when it is calmly standing, we often have that fear to go near this elephant. Now, if it was a mad elephant, mother apam, and it's running uncontrollably, imagine how much harm it can cause to the lives and properties, and like it's just going to wander so wildly, right? If the the mad elephant is running uncontrollably, how can the mahout, the person who is in charge, go in front of this elephant? Now imagine the mahout's task here. He has to go in front of this elephant, the running mad elephant, climb up to the forehead of the elephant. Now he not only has to go nearby, right? He has to go and climb on the elephant, and then he has to place this Ankusham. That's the main weapon that we are discussing in this Nama, Ankusham. He has to now climb on top of the elephant, on near his forehead. That means near his face he has to go and place the Ankusham to bring it under control. How can the Mahout do like that? So Acharya uses a very special term. He not just says Ankusham, he says Dhairyankushena Nibrutam. Dhairyam. We need that courage to go and place the Ankusham to control the mind, which is running like a mad elephant, to keep it firmly established in the feet of Lord Parameshwara. For that, Acharya says, Dhairya Ankusham, with the Ankusham of courage. Right? When our mind wanders with worries and uh, with anger, with so many traits that is not desirable, then we need to have the Ankusham of courage. That's why he says, Dhairya Ankushena Nibritam. Have the courage to go and firmly put your mind in the feet of Lord Parameshwara so that Parameshwara can help us shed our kamam and krodham, and Parameshwara will help to merge ourselves with her. So he says, Purahara Sharanalena, O Parameshwara, please tie my mind with bhakti to your holy feet continuously so that I can get relief from the mad elephant that is running around. So that is Dhairyankushena Nibrutham. Now controlling the mad elephant, the mind which is the mad elephant, and tying that to Parameshwara. Parameshwara means Parameshwari, Ambal also, right? They both are the same. Ambal and Parameshwara are not two different concepts, they are the same. Now, let's look at the next component. So we saw Krodam, we saw Ankusham, we started knowing about Akaram, which is the knowledge of how to control the anger. Let's see some more aspect of the Akaram. Akaram means knowledge, how to control that anger. Kroda Akara, the knowledge of when anger can be exhibited. See, knowledge of anger means when we should exhibit an anger. The speciality is that only Lalitambika knows when we need to use Krodam, and when we should not use this Krodam. See, that's why we worship on this Nama Krodhakarangkushojjvala, Ujjvala, right? Because only Ambal has that Akaram. The Nama celebrates Ambal as having the knowledge to know when to control this anger and when not to show anger. An example would be when Kaikeyi summoned Sri Rama to go to the forest, Vanavasam. He's the crown prince, but Kaikeyi says, you have to go to forest for X number of years, right? At that time, Sri Rama remained calm and did not exhibit anger. It was Dasaratha who was uncontrollably weeping at that time. But Sri Rama remained stunningly calm, right? He knows how to control that anger at that time. Had we been in that situation, we would have fought for our rights in great anger. We would have immediately said, why are you asking me to go to forest? I am the crown prince. I have to be doing the Samrajya Pattabhishekam. Why are you? That would be our instant reaction. Whereas Sri Rama knows. He has the akaram, the knowledge of when to use that krodam. His divine avataram is for a purpose, right? So he understands that this whole situation is happening so he can fulfill the purpose of his avatara, right? He knows how to control his anger at that time. So even though he came as a Manushya Rupam in that avatar of Sri Rama, he has the Akaram, the knowledge of how to control the Krodam, even though that situation was something which was very testing, if you will. But the same Sri Rama exhibited anger and he actually took his bow when the Samudra Raja, the ocean king, did not leave him way to cross and go to Lanka. He was asking the Samudra Raja, hey Samudra Raja, please tell me a way so I can go and cross you to go to the other side to go to Lanka. That was his purpose. He was patiently asking, but Samudra Raja did not give any response. At that time, Sri Rama exhibited anger towards the Samudra Raja. So Sri Rama knows when to control the anger and when to exhibit the anger. That's the akaram. Akaram is the knowledge of knowing when and how to control the anger. When needed at the right time, Ambal will herself let us exhibit the correct traits. Hence, we should only know that we should surrender to her. We should surrender our mind to her and think of this Nama Krodakara Ankusha Ujjvala. Let's contemplate some more on this akaram, the knowledge of when to and how to control the anger. Akara means knowledge. She who is in the form of Akara Jnanam itself, right? The knowledge of when an anger occurs, we should be able to observe that and we should be able to control that through her Ankusham. Hence the Jnanam resulting from the Akaram, Bhashyam calls it as Akara Jnanam. Kroda Akara Ankusha Ujjvala. Bhashyam calls this as Akara Jnanam itself. And hence, this Nama Krodhakarangkushojjvala is worshipped by Sri Bhaskararaya as Jnana Shakti itself. Because Ambal has the akaram to know when to use when and how to keep the anger under control. So he states this Nama represents Jnana Shakti. So this Ankusham that we see next time, we should remember that this is Jnana Shakti and this Nama Krodhakarangkushojjvala. So what is Akara Jnanam? Akara Jnanam. For this, Bhashyam says, if our mind sees an object, the form of that object goes inside us like a photo imprint. For example, if we see fruits, the picture of the fruits goes inside our mind. If we see sugar cane, the picture of sugar cane goes inside our mind. If we see a throne, the picture of the throne goes inside of our mind. If we see a pot, mind sends a message that I'm seeing a pot. The jnanam or the knowledge is accompanied by a form of that object. This is called as a akara jnanam. Whenever we see the form along with what is being said, it is called Akara Jnanam. The opposite of that is Nirakara Jnanam. When we are not able to think of a form, it is called Nirakara Jnanam. So Akara Jnanam, Nirakara Jnanam. There are two concepts that are being described here. Here we can clearly say, oh, this part, I like this. Oh, this part, I don't like this, because we know the details of what the part is and the properties of the part. We have the knowledge of the part. This is called Visesha Jnanam. We can tell that even though it is made of a part, why do I need to use a part? That's the first thing that comes, right? Kind of like a repulsion towards, oh, this is just an ordinary part. That's how we might think. It may not look very attractive, right? Oh, there is a modern refrigerator that, that can make ice, that can make water very cool. That's how we will immediately think. One side of the mind that's running like a mother apum, like mad elephant. That's how mind compares everything. But there is one more part that it says, oh, even though this is a part, this is very valuable because this is very good for health. This is how all of our Purvacharyas have lived their life. They did not have refrigerators, but they had this part which kept them very, very healthy. Right? So you are able to infer from the Akara Jnanam, you are able to say, these are all the things that I like. So once we have the knowledge about the part, that will help us reduce the hatredness that goes towards that object. And this is true of anything. So any object that we have a dislike towards, a hatred towards, and that causes krodham and anger, Ambal takes that Ankusham and controls the jiva from having a dangerous consequence. Akarajnanam. See, there's some more concepts being described here. For example, if something happened yesterday. We will ask, do you remember that incident that happened yesterday? We must say, I, yeah, I remember. We might like forget, right? We might only partially remember what happened yesterday. Do you know while we were going? Do you remember this? Yeah, I kind of remember. That's what we would say. But if there had been an argument, somehow we are able to clearly recollect an argument that happened 20 years ago. Somebody had an argument, somebody talked to us in a different tone, somebody caused something that disturbed our mind, not 1 year, 2 years, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 50 years ago. You're still able to clearly recollect that argument. Yeah, 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 I exactly know. She said that 20 years ago. I was standing here and she said that. How are we able to recollect something that happened decades ago? How? Because that imprint of krodham, that anger goes deep in our mind. That's what this nama says. Many suffer unable to get past past struggles. They are able to um, like be in that moment even today, and they suffer unable to forget past struggles. We see this in many elders, many people who are unable to forget past struggles. It bothers them. Keeping those struggles inside bubbles up at different times throughout our lifetime. We see this, right? Throughout our life experiences, we see struggles that constantly comes at different periods of our time, and it bubbles up. Unknowingly, it comes and bubbles up different times. That Krodam has a deep imprint. That's what the Nama tries to say. Krodam, that's why it's Kroda Akara. The imprint of that Krodam stays in our mind for decades and decades. Ambal helps to shed that unwanted imprint of Krodam with her Ankusham. That is the speciality of this Nama. That is what we need to meditate upon. When we see the Vigraha form, this is a very important meditative Nama. The four arms. That's why Vasanyadi Devatas have kept these four arms even before the Keshadi Varnana. It's very important how to control the mad elephant of that mind that wanders with this anger, and it struggles for decades and decades, unable to forget many of the past struggles. Ambal's Ankusham helps as shed that unwanted imprint of that Krodam with her Ankusham. Hence this Nama Krodhakarangkushojjvala is worshipped as Jnana Shakti. She gives that Jnanam to remember what is good and to shed what is unwanted. There is very beautiful explanation in the Bhashyam that says when anger tries to overpower us, we have to be patient and not instantly react. That's the upayam that is being given in the Bhashyam. In fact, it quotes very, very special granthams and says before exhibiting anger in our face or before exhibiting anger in our words, we have to pause and think. That's the upayam that is being even quoted uh, as a pramanam for this nama Krodhakarangkushojjvala. Krodam is mind's reflection of that situation, right? With the Jnana Shakti, we would infer that we don't need to exhibit that amount of Krodam towards that intended person. When we know, like when we pause and we detach ourselves, we will get the Jnanam that maybe we don't need to hold this Krodam so much. If the moment we are able to pause, that itself settles our mind. That itself makes our mind calms. That itself helps us subside the anger. That's how this Akara Jnanam, Kroda Akara Angusha Ujjvala, right? The Akara Jnanam towards whatever we like and whatever we don't like acts like an Ankusham. That pause from that situation acts like an Ankusham and takes us towards the right path. As long as we're able to, no, this is this is unwanted. I don't want to hold this anger because this anger is only going to hold the imprint for me for decades. I don't want this. I don't want this imprint. I want to meditate on Ambal's Ankusham, right? Hence that Krodam and the knowledge about how to subside that anger, the Akaram, are both like Ankusham, and Ambal shines in that form as Krodakara Ankusha Ujjvala. That's the Ujjvala part. Ambal helps us to shine. That's the Ujjvala part of this Nama. Ujjvala, Krodakara Ankusha Ujjvala. Ambal shines with that Jnanam to give us peace. That's a very beautiful nama. Sampatkari. Next, since we then we need to know one more very special devata called Sampatkari. Since we talked about elephants, it will be very easy to remember that the Devi who rides on the elephant is the Adhistana Devata for this Ankusham. Ankusham, there for each of these weapons there is a Adhistana Devata. For Ankusham, the goad, the Adhistana Devata is Sampatkari. Sampatkari Devi is the Adhistana Devata for the Ankusham. When our mind runs wild like a mad elephant in anger, Sampatkari Devi helps us to give the Jnanam, and Sampatkari Devi destroys the anger and brings us calm and peace. So the two nama, if we see the summary of it, Ragaswarupa Pasatya, this is the previous nama, and Krodhakarangkushojjvala, Pasham, Ankusham. Pasham, the rope of attachment, removes our desires so that we can bind to what is real, which is Ambal. She will make all of our desires to be good desires, right? That's Pasham. Rahaswarupa Pasatya, and Ankusham. Ankusham is meant to pierce our anger and subjugate us when out of enmity we might exhibit anger as a trait. Ambal helps us to bring that anger under control. Pasham and Ankusham are hence desires and controlling anger, two very important traits that each one of us have to have. And these two, since it is held by Ambal, the two weapons are subservient to her commands. They will obey to her commands. If the desires are within us, if the anger is with us, it will run like a mad elephant. But since these two weapons are held by Ambal, the anger, Krodam, and the desires is within Ambal's hands. She is helping us to make the desires as good and not to have Krodam at all. So the weapons are subservient to them. So she helps our mind to be under control. That's what this Nama celebrates. The attractions towards things, which is called as the love, and the repulsions from others, which is called the enmity, must be put down, since having these kinds of desires and unwanted thoughts will make us get karma. When we get karma, we will again and again get into samsara. Hence, to rescue us from samsara, Ambal as Sri Kamakshi Devi holds the Pasham and the Ankusham in her divine hands to give us blessings. That is this Nama. As next steps with Acharya's blessings, let's review the next Nama in Sri Lalita Sahasranama. Loka Samasta Shukino Bhavantu. Thank you so much, everyone.